Welcome to episode 136 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. My name is Gray, and tonight I am joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
7 days and I'm going to E3.
And our special guest, KDub.
Don't get in a car wreck going to E3, dude.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian1 website at Guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@Guardian1.net. We also have a Budgie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
And thank you, Hollow River. For those of you out there in the Destiny community that have a good connection to River, send him a little message. Tell him that we miss him. We always appreciate his support and his role. And as we get into Destiny 2, we'd really love to talk to River on the show here a little bit. So, reach out to him. Let him know he's always welcome. But this week is a very special week. We have Guardian 1's own DestinyKdub from Guardian Radio. He's been in Guardian 1 since very early on, and we're very excited to have him coming from his closet. DestinyKdub, how you doing tonight, man?
What's up, boys? Man, been a lot of fun over the last couple weeks, and doing the thing in LA and going to the reveal was unfreaking believable. I know you guys had Paris on last week. We hung out a lot and had a great time. And I told a funny story a little bit ago. I'll just recap for everybody that's listening now. So the one time that I went to the restroom, which was awful, by the way, because it was like a portable thing outside. When I came back in, I'm walking through this main hall. And I'd been hanging out with Paris a bunch, and when I see him, he's going after somebody. I forget who he was going to talk to, and we just kind of bumped like this. And I said, "I'll talk to you in a little bit." And he walked by, and there's like literally 3 people following him, and they're like, "You know him?" I was like, "Yeah, he's my clanmate." They go, "Lance Reddick is your clanmate?" And they thought he was Zavala. So I was like, "No, that's not Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick is him, like half the size, though."
Yes.
So, but it was hilarious. So that's why I've been busting Paris's chops on Twitter about anything. I was like, "Oh my God, is that Lance Reddick?"
We should get Paris to do some voiceovers, because I bet he could do some pretty good Zavala. I bet he could do some good voiceovers like that.
He might be able to, yeah.
So we're gonna do the show in our normal format. We've got a lot of questions for Kdub, both about the reveal event, his thoughts on Destiny 2, about his origin as a gamer and his place here in the clan. But before that, there's obviously a big hole missing in our show, a hole that has never been missing in our show, actually. Our leader, our main host, Dear Bungie, is feeling under the weather. And if you saw the show last week, you would know that he was sounding pretty rough. He could only really kind of do the intro and the outro, listen through the show and try to be a tough trooper. We've been touching base all week. I'm a pharmacist from my training, and so we've been discussing different medications and what he should be concerned about. And it's been, just kind of a rocky road for him. I asked him if it was okay just to share a few words about his current health. He's not doing super great. It's likely a pneumonia. He's on antibiotics. He's on appropriate treatment. And he kind of has good days versus bad days right now. And even good parts of the days that, he's feeling better, his breathing is better, more functional, and then he'll go into a day or part of the day that things just kind of get worse. The coughing is pretty rough. So, we're working on trying to get the right medications that'll help him to pull through. But in regards to tonight, it was tough for him because he loves this show. He loves the audience. He loves this community and being part of this. So for him to actually trust us as hosts to kind of carry this on in his stead is a pretty big deal. So Remy, we certainly appreciate it. We wish you to a fast recovery. We're hoping taking it easy tonight will result in you definitely being able to be back on the show and helping us kind of keep this cobbled together for only 1 week. We can probably do, but we'll need you back here as soon as possible. So send him.
Just for anybody, and in case anybody's worried, he loves KDub too. In fact, he loves KDub so much that he never really wanted to go out of his way and ask KDub to come on the show because, he's doing the big show. He's doing the Guardian Radio show. But me, I will ask anybody, and especially when it's one of my friends. I was like, KDub, you got to come on the show. I know it's
dude. It's only because I'm freaking old and I have 4 kids, but.
And he doesn't like staying up late.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not that. So it's because my kid, today was the last day of school. So I don't have to get up and be the school bus driver for 4 people tomorrow.
That works out quite well for us too.
So that means you can actually fill in for me next week.
There you go.
I'll have to think about it. Maybe.
Yeah. So if you're listening, if you're catching,
I'll give you a definite maybe.
You're not going to be on the show next week, Sharks?
No, I'm not going to be on the show next week. I can't be on the show because I'm driving to E3. I have to drive because I'm
driving to E3 at 8 p.m. Eastern Pacific time.
No, I'm leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning. I live in Northern California. I live as far north as you can go. I can spit into Oregon. And in order for me to get to LA, it's like a 16-hour drive. So I'm going to break it up into 2 days. Oh, wow.
Okay. I did not know it's that far.
Right.
Yeah, I'm breaking it up into 2 days. So I'm going a little bit less than halfway. I'm going down to see my brother, who I haven't seen in a year. We'll hang out, who actually watches our podcast, which is really badass. Doesn't even play Destiny, but he watches our podcast, and he was asking me about some stuff about maybe playing PC and all that stuff. We'll get into that later. But
so Sharks, I'm just gonna segue a little bit here to say that if you're watching the show live, if you're catching it on YouTube, and you want to send a nice message, you can find Remy at Dear Bungie on Twitter. Send him a little message saying you're thinking about him. Wish him a fast recovery. Yeah, he would absolutely love that. Really appreciate all that support. So the other thing I want to do tonight, because I think that Sharks is a little excited about E3. If somebody in the chat could just keep an E3 counter every time he says E3, just make a little tick, keep it going. Yes. I'm just gonna.
I say he has to take a drink every time he says E3.
Yes, it probably should be, and we're really excited for Sharks too, because he's gonna represent Guardian 1 well, and we're happy to hear about his experience. But we want to dive into you, my friend DestinyKdub.
You're gonna dive into me?
I want to dive into who you are. I want to know about kind of your origins in becoming a gamer, what drew you to video games, and I want to know about your origin in Guardian 1. But let's start first with, what was the first video game that really hooked you, that you loved, and what was it about that game that really shaped that experience for you?
Okay, so Pong, and it was, no, I'm kidding. Okay.
Gosh, you are old, man.
Okay. It's serious video games, probably Nintendo 64. I started really kind of playing a lot of video games. And then, you had to eventually make the decision of which way to go as far as console. And I just went down the PlayStation route. But what really got me into gaming, to be like where I really consider myself a gamer, was World of Warcraft. So I was a big WoW gamer, back in the day. And the funny thing about that is, and I've told the story before, but with WoW and it being on PC, which is something we'll talk about with Destiny 2, the community, Pong, what console? Mystic, you're so funny. The community was just always toxic. The community was always negative. The community, it was always, getting into it's not a clan on WoW, but getting into a clan there, it's a guild, but it's just always, you're going between guild to guild to guild to guild to guild because everybody's an asshole. Excuse my French, but that's just kind of how it was. So I never had a good feeling about online communities as a whole until Destiny.
Well, can I ask you a question about that then? Why did you continue to play?
Because I was able to play with some of my kids. And so we would do stuff together, just, playing together with my kids. I tried to go into guilds, and my son, he'd get in with his buddies and, hey, Dad, come over here. And then I would play with them. And then it would just turn into a cluster, and it was just not fun. And it was just either I tried to find a guild and it was either a scam, or they were just jerks, or they were just whatever it was. Nobody really cared about the person on the other side of the screen. It was just really, what can I do to advance myself, even at your expense or anybody else's expense, which was never good. So, when I came to Destiny, and when it was pre-alpha, and I start doing all this research, when I first saw the Vidoc, the Wolf Vidoc, that really brought me in. I was like, all right, wait a minute. It was right around my birthday too, and I was like, all right, this might be something that's ridiculous, because I was never an Xbox guy, so I never played Halo, but I knew Bungie, obviously, and I was like, this looks unbelievable. And then I started doing all kinds of research, and there's like one day my girl comes to me and she goes, babe, you're like obsessed with this. And I'm like, you know what, I don't know what to tell you, but I know it's going to be amazing. And that's when I found Remy, and man, we just started going I was like, you know what, let's get in ground floor, let's just rock this thing. And I knew it was going to be an unbelievable adventure. So here we are, 3.5 years later.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Pong. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. We certainly have some of our Guardian 1 faithful that's as far back as our gaming roots go, and that's very, very impressive.
I'll tell you a funny quick story. My dad turned me on to so way back when there was a type of a video game. It wasn't even a video game. It was really a text video game where you had to make decisions, and it would say, so yeah, and what would you want to do this, you want to do that, and then it was a decision-based game. That was really my first foray into anything. He would bring me into his office, I didn't have a babysitter, so he was like, come with me to work. I'd sit in his office and I'd play on his computer, and he would put this game on, and that was kind of the first foray into, I guess that was a RPG really, but that's kind of my way back. That's all the way back. I mean, I was probably 8, right? So it's I don't know, 7 maybe, but that's kind of what got me interested in computers to begin with, and technology, as it were. So that's why I'm a tech dork like the rest of us, I guess. So, but yeah,
very interesting. So tell us how you found out about Guardian 1. What kind of drew you into this particular community and clan?
Well, like I said, I was doing all kinds of research, and I'm seeing more console who had 20,000 followers, and my name is Bife, who has 4,000 followers, and I'm talking to those guys on the internet, and I think this is kind of cool. And I said, oh, I'll start a Twitter account. Okay. I started a Twitter account, and then I started doing stuff, and I see Remy, and Remy was doing his gunsmith series, and I was like, oh, he seems like a pretty cool dude. Let's talk to him a little bit, and then we just kind of hooked up, and he was starting a clan, and man, I think there was 4 of us. It was me, Remy. Was it maybe River? I don't remember. I remember there was 4 of us, and then we just started branching out, and it got to be kind of, hey, it's gotten to be where it is now. It's awesome. But I just wanted to get in on the ground floor with a clan that was a small group of people that I knew they weren't assholes, and okay, cool. So let's grow it from there. And that's always kind of been the plan as far as what Remy and I ever discussed from way back when. Let's make sure that we grow this with good people. And that's obviously been our agenda. And not only that, but let's help people along the way. So that's kind of how it happened. I could have joined other clans. Other people were asking me, and they were bigger. And we've got we've got 50 people. We've got 100 people. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to get in with 100 people I don't know. Let's get in with 4 people that I can get to know, and then let's grow it from there. So that's kind of why I went down that route, and I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, I find it very interesting, the dynamics of different clans, especially when you think about size. You talk about somebody saying that because we're a clan of 50 or 100, or that's an attractive quality, and to some that could be. And obviously we have mega clans like the Dads of Destiny or the Dames, and then you've got this anomaly like Peasant Guard, right? 6 people, that is the most exclusive group. They're not going to be adding anybody, but they're their clan.
With those people a couple weeks ago.
yeah, and it's such an interesting group. And
more console it lives up to the hype. By the way, him and Bife are great, but he's a freaking riot. And I got to say, Andrew, unknown player, is brilliant. As is Martin, Destiny Overwatch, everybody knows, and Oki. Those guys are all exceptional people, and so you're absolutely right when you talk about an exclusive group of people. They are all exceptional.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show, like, each of, even so you got the Dames and the Dads, you've got Guardian 1, we're sitting at about 84 members right now, but it's the quality of the people that really make that clan shine, and you're exactly right that we work very, very hard to ensure that this community that we're building in Guardian 1 is built from the ground up by people who are genuinely good people. And I came in late into this game. I'm a year 2 player. I came into Guardian 1. I've been part of this clan for a little over a year now. And you guys set that foundation from the ground up, making sure that as you added people, they were going to be very supportive, especially the vision of what Guardian 1 was about.
I got to give Remy props on that too, because he was really, really diligent in that, where I would have maybe been a little more lax than he was, and he wasn't. He's very diligent, and that's props to him. So yeah. Right,
exactly. Okay, let's dive in just a little bit into the Destiny 2 reveal event. How did you feel when you first got the notice that you got to go to that event?
Well, it was Cosmo DM'd me, and it was kind of cool. I was like, wait a minute. Why is Cosmo DM? So I looked at that and I was like, oh man, I'm sitting out on my lanai with my girl, and I'm like, I think I have to go to LA. She's like, what? She's like, what? And I'm like, Cosmo just DM'd me and said, dude, we want you to come out here. And so, I just started texting. We started going back and forth and just kind of talking about, details and whatnot. And, it was a great time. It was an unbelievable. It was, I was a little bit surprised, but at the same token, I kind of expected it, but maybe I shouldn't have. Just because I know what we've done in this community for so long. So I kind of thought, yeah, you know what? Hey, we'll probably get invites. I don't know. But when it finally came, it was really, it was very, very, it was very welcome, and it was a good time. I was bummed that Mark couldn't go, but everybody else from Guardian Radio was able to go, and Mark will be at Guardian Con, so that'll be good. So, and I talked to Deej about, Mark, sorry you couldn't be there, and blah blah blah, but man, it was just it was really exciting. The trip out kind of sucked because I got a delay on a plane that was broken, so I didn't get there till midnight LA time, which was a bummer. But when I got to the hotel rooms, I was staying with Bife, so I got to the hotel room, and I knocked on the door, and Bife opens the door. Man, that was a really, really cool time. I just wish, that's the only thing that I wish I had videoed that I didn't. But, you know what, it's a really cool private moment anyway, so maybe it's good I didn't. I don't know. But either way, I'll remember it forever. So
yeah, because since he wasn't able to make it to Guardian Con, that was the first time that you guys got to meet in person, right?
And he's never met Mark in person.
Yeah.
They've been doing Guardian Radio for 5 years. So, I mean, I've been on there for 3, I think, or something like that. But they've never met in person. So this Guardian Con is going to be pretty bananas too. So
Right.
I know more console and all those guys are going to be there as well. So it's good. It's going to be pretty bananas.
Right. Yeah. So now, did he just have like the 47 beers that he owed you ready right there in the hotel room?
And not only that, I did not collect a single beer, by the way, on this trip.
Ooh.
More console bought me probably 7 vodkas, but Bife didn't buy me a thing.
Wow.
But I stayed in Bife's room, so I kind of let him off the hook.
Yeah, it was a little bit fair. Yeah, that's very exciting. Tell us about the venue when you got to the actual event yourself. What was your impression by the theatrics? What they brought to really impress and show you guys this next iteration of the game?
Yeah, so I kind of had a little bit of an inkling of what to expect because they had Activision. They had done an event at this same location before, and other people that I know had been to that. So I kind of knew we were going to this private airfield. We're going to be in a hangar. I kind of knew as far, because I used to be around airplanes a lot when I was a kid. I kind of knew what to expect, but I didn't expect, man, when so you get there, there's the little line you got to go through to check in and whatnot. I didn't have to do that. So I went around, took some pictures. They had these big D2 things, and we're taking pictures. I took a picture with Belle and some other people. And then you start to go in and they got the red carpet thing there. And I was like, holy shit, they did a red carpet deal with the whole thing. And it's just, I was like, wow, I was really impressed. And then I thought to myself and I got out my phone. I'm like, all right, I got a video walking down the red carpet, right? But before I did that, I thought to myself, okay, this is Activision and Bungie. You know this is going to be ridiculous. So my expectation level immediately went, okay, yeah, this is going to be bonkers. And even upping my expectation level where I did, it still blew me out of the water. Because when I walked down the red carpet and I got my phone up and I'm watching it, because I want to, show my kids this, and they're watching the stream later on. But when you go in and you see this huge hangar that you don't even recognize it as a hangar. It's just this huge space with all these monstrous I want to call them banners, but banner and poster, none of those they're freaking signs. They're huge. They're billboards basically that are hanging with Destiny 2 stuff everywhere, and the timer going behind Deej on stage. It was just, man, it was just unbelievable. And then we're just trying to find seats and where do I sit, and everybody's got color-coded tags and whatnot, and it was just surreal, really. And then there's this one dude in this Hunter cosplay walking around, and he's like, can I sit here? And I'm like, he wanted to sit on the end, and I literally needed to sit on the end because I wanted to do a video thing, and I also wanted to be able to see. So I was like, no. But I actually gave him the seat in front of me on the aisle, which kind of blocked my vision a little bit, but it was okay because he was awesome. And I was actually on stream. My son saw me on stream because they kept zooming in on the dude in the cosplay.
Sure.
And I was right behind him. But it was just a surreal whole thing. And when Luke Smith came out and the way that he spoke so heartfelt about what they're doing, and every single person that came on there did. I mean, Emmy Chung made everybody cry, and it was just just an unbelievable, heartfelt. You could tell how hard they worked on this. You could tell how much is riding on this, because you can't screw it up now, man. If this goes sour, this is the Division, and it can't go sour. So they just did a great job on stage. The reveals were unbelievable. The crowd was amazing. Everybody's screaming. My son's texting me, Dad, I see you on stream. I see you. Oh, yeah. And my son hasn't played Destiny in a year, but he is geeked to get back into D2. And he's like one of the top competitive people in the racing. What's the thing with you playing soccer with the cars?
Rocket League.
Rocket League. He's like a top Rocket League dude.
Yeah.
But he's geeked to get back into D2, and he's, as you guys know that played with him before, he's an amazing PvP player. He's really good. But so it's just fun. It's just fun to be excited about Destiny again. It's really, really fun. But that to get back to your question, that was just, it was surreal. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. While you were there, was there anybody that you got to meet that you didn't expect, or that kind of surprised you?
You know, Eric's I've followed him before, but he is just a really, really cool dude. I there's a funny video I put on Twitter. It was after the event, and we're all drinking a little bit, where I'm playing with his beard, and he's just an awesome dude. And so I talked to Luke Smith for a good 5 minutes. He was very, very gracious and very thankful. But I hung out with Deej and I hung out with Cosmo. But my favorite Bungie person that I hung out with was Steve Cotton, the world design lead. He was just the nicest guy, was completely open, wanted to ask me questions more than he wanted me answering him questions. And as much as I've always asked for Destiny to be an MMO, more MMO-like, and that's kind of, I think, what we're getting in D2, with the adventures, which are basically quests, and, you know, your lost sectors, which are going to be dungeons. I mean, they did exactly what I hoped for. And I told Steve Cotton that, and he was really, really happy about it. I literally probably talked to him for an hour. And he is just an amazing, really, really cool dude. I think we're going to get him on Guardian Radio here before long. And that dude is just awesome. So my favorite people that I would say would be, from Bungie, Steve Cotton. In general, people I haven't met before, Eric's, Andrea Renee, who we had on Paragon Radio not too long ago, who's awesome, that just started What Good Games. She's the person that when you go into GameStop before you look up, she's doing all the interviews of all the people. She's the redheaded girl. She's awesome. She's amazing. Got to talk to her for a bit. Obviously, I got to hang out with Bife for a good while. Oki, all those guys. But man, just meeting everybody and people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, you know, I know you from so and so," or we listen to Guardian Radio, or just telling me who they are, or playing PvP, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And you're that. Oh my, you know, and you're just you finally have a face to a name or an avatar or whatever it is. It was just so fun, because Guardian Con was the most fun I ever had in video games. It's last year, Destiny Con, or no, Guardian Con, sorry, last year. And that was more about the community. This was more about the game, and the community was there, but it was game oriented, which is why it was more fun, because we're gamers, man. That's why we're there. So we got to actually play these games as a community. It was just, man, it was just so much fun. It was the most fun I ever had in video games. It was just unbelievable. But so many cool people. I mean, there's just, I could list a million of them. There's just so many people that were awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask one more question. I'm gonna pass it to Sharks for the next question. We'll give it to the panel, rotate around, give them a chance, and then I can wrap up if there's some that you guys haven't asked yet. But are you thinking baboon or lion?
You talking about an error when the game launches?
No. He's talking about your shirt.
About your shirt.
Oh, come on! I got the new swag, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
is it a baboon? Is it a lion?
Really? You're a baboon if you don't think that's a lion.
All right.
Well,
You're lying if you think it's a lion.
Yeah. KDub's on Team Lion. People in the chat, feel free to say which team you're on. Team Lion, Team Baboon. I'm on Team Baboon.
You guys are missing team.
You're actually all wrong. It's actually a taper. Come on, the taper errors. Come on.
A baboon and a lion, neither of them have a beak, just so you know.
I'm not seeing much of a beak.
It has a tongue coming out of his face with his, and and claws and a tail.
Yep.
Going around the Titan emblem. Come on, Baboon.
All right, Sharks,
not a-
what
wait,
question do you have for KDub?
Wait, do I hear a beer bet? That's kind of what
Is that a beer bet?
Okay, all right. So my first question is actually going to be kind of non-Destiny related, but it is in a way. So as you have become more known in the community, and you really have. I mean, you are very good at talking to people, getting out there, and promoting. Well, you've gone from first time ever getting on Twitter to having thousands of followers and yada yada yada, and going on Guardian Radio. How was it for you to go there as someone famous? Because people came up to you and were like, "Oh, you're KDub."
Well, you know what? It's funny. I got more of that last year at Guardian Con than I did at this, because this, everybody was there for the game, and Guardian Con, they were there for the people that are known in that community. So, I mean, at Guardian Con, I literally probably signed 5,000 autographs. It was ridiculous. But at this was more about, hey, we're just dude, let's go play some PvP, like we were all
focused on the game.
Yeah, you know what? Because it's just everybody. That's what I liked about Eric's so much, because Eric's he's huge, man, and he's awesome. And when I met him, he was like, arm around me, let's go do something type deal. And that was just, I have never, so, I used to own a sports collectibles shop, right? And I used to go to spring training games and all these different, sports places where I want to try and get autographs and stuff. And people are so awestruck of these athletes. And I'm not. It's just, look, you're just a normal person. You just happen to be good at something better than the average person. It doesn't make you more exceptional as a human than me. And I'm not more exceptional than anybody else out there. So it's one of those things where if you just put into perspective, hey, guess what? You're just a human. You just happen to be a popular human. That doesn't make you better than me, and it doesn't make me better than you or any of that. So I just see everybody on a level playing field when I go to these things. And that's why I'm never afraid to go say hi to somebody or go talk to this person or go, give somebody my opinion, because my opinion is just as valid as their opinion, whether either one of us is right or wrong. It's still, I know what I know, and I know what I think, and you know what you know, and you know what you think. And it is what it is. So let's just, get to know each other versus I'm this person and you're that person. I don't like those different tiers of I'm here and you're there. Bullcrap, man. We're all right here. You might think you're up there, but guess what? Someday you're going to learn you're not. We're all right here, man. And so that's kind of why I've never, I've always been in sales too. So, I've dealt with CEOs of companies. I've done multi-million-dollar business deals with people that are, billionaires. And I can go talk to them just like you or me. And they respect that I'm not scared of them, because you don't want to deal with somebody that's all like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's no good, man. So I see everybody as the same. Whether you're, just some kid that plays games or you're Eric's, I will talk to you the same way.
Now, what was the most surprising aspect of the entire reveal for you on any level?
Probably the heavy weapon thing going away, going to power weapons. I mean, that change is a drastic one, which is very, very welcome. I think it's, let me say something else. They made every single decision right, in my opinion, with the way that Destiny 2 is going. I mean, there's going to be some people won't think that necessarily, but I think they made, as far as they could from the information that we have, they made every decision right. And I know some people don't like 4v4, but look, there's a reason they're doing 4v4. They're doing that because they own MLG. They need to get the competitive scene going. MLG and competitive scene is always 4v4. They're going to lay the groundwork. They're going to make that go, and it's going to take off. And they're going to probably feed that to MLG or some have tournaments some way. Maybe spectator modes are coming in. I don't know. But once that groundwork gets laid, then we'll get our custom games, and we'll get our 6v6s, and we'll get our this, that, and the other thing. And it's just one of those things that they have to lay down. So, but as far as the changes that they've made with the game itself, reloads of supers, all these different things, they made every single decision right, in my opinion. And the one thing that I said to Steve Cotton, because he asked me, he said, "Wait, let me ask you, give me your honest," he says, "give me your honest opinion of what you think of Destiny 2." And I said, "Steve, I think it's still Destiny, but it's a completely different game, and it's awesome." And he said, "That's exactly what we want to hear."
Okay.
To the T.
Now, my last question is going to kind of go off of this, and I'm going to pass it over. What excited you the most that you saw, or potentially what might come to it?
As soon as that Titan threw his shield and it started bouncing around people like Tron.
Why is that happening to Titan? Jesus.
As soon as I saw that go swing and it goes doing, 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 I was like, bro, we are in. Let's go, Sentinel. Oh my God. So yeah, dude, absolutely a freaking Sentinel. And I mean, the funny thing is, the first tweet that I made during the reveal was when the Dawnblade got thrown and he's up and he starts throwing swords. I knew Bife was shitting his pants, because if you guys remember, do you guys remember Bife's reaction the first time that swords came into Destiny?
Yeah.
He literally almost crapped himself.
Yeah.
So when I see this flying warlock throwing swords like they're hammers, I tweeted out, I think Bife just had a heart attack or something. I forget. All he's going to want to do is throw swords. And that is a really, really, and that's a cool thing too, is like these new subclasses are going to be amazing. Obviously the Hunter, we still got to see, because it's kind of the same. But down the road, there'll probably be a third subclass. Plus we don't know about other nodes and things like that. But when I saw, and I said Tron, but then Mark immediately texted me Captain America, and I'm like, okay, you're right. Yeah. But it's kind of a cross between the two, with the light around it, and it's bing, bing, bing between people, kind of like the Tron disc. But that when I saw that, I was like, dude, Sentinel, man, I am so down. It's going to be so much fun. And it's just so cool, the way that they did it with the different nodes, and you can pick this type of play style, this type of character, and the shield popping up, and they made warlocks into Titans, basically giving them the healing rift and the weapons rift, and they get the dodge in the air like you've got on friggin' the chess piece. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing that blew me away the most, was really when I saw that Sentinel Titan. So yeah.
Okay, so I have more questions to ask you, but I'm not gonna hog it all right now. And since Agrios is gone, I'm gonna pass it to Jez next. But I'm getting you again before we leave.
All right.
The easiest question. So what subclasses are you waiting for the next next Destiny? Well, no. What I want to know, because I obviously didn't get to play with any of the guns. Out of the 3 exotic guns that you've seen, which one was your favorite?
Yeah, I played a lot with that auto rifle. The auto rifle, the Titan auto. Well, I'd say Titan auto rifle. I was equipped on the Titan, which was the exotic auto rifle that had spinning up on it, which was pretty cool. It looked like a Gatling gun. You kind of had to pre-fire it though, because it really wasn't wrecking anybody until it was doing the spinning up. So you kind of had to, if you knew there was an engagement around a corner, you had to start firing and then walk around the corner, which I didn't really care for. But the Sunshot hand cannon was ridiculous. It was basically what's the hand cannon from Vault of Glass?
Fatebringer.
Fatebringer.
It was basically Fatebringer. It had the same recoil pattern, the little circle recoil pattern. That thing, and hand cannons were still crazy OP. I don't want to say OP, but they were strong. They were the strongest weapon. But my favorite gun of the entire day was the pistol that had the rats on it, with the back of the hammer was a rat skull.
Oh,
and
right.
I literally had a 10-minute conversation with Irk about that gun. And I was with Justin from Focus Fire Chat, and I had a picture of it. And I was like, Eric, you got to tell me about this gun. What's the name of this gun? And he says it doesn't have a name yet. I'm like, what? I'm like, you've got it on display here. It's the most ornate, unbelievable looking gun I've ever seen. He's like, we haven't named it yet, but I'll tell you, the perks on it are ridiculous. And so Justin and I start trying to give him names, right? And he comes up with the Pied Piper, which I thought was awesome. But it literally, that gun doesn't have a name yet. And I can't wait to see what that sucker is, because it was ridiculous. So that was probably my favorite gun that I saw, but the favorite gun that I used was that Sunshot, the hand cannon.
One thing I wanted to mention, the auto rifle, apparently the best way to use it is with your portable cover, because it just keeps getting reloaded really quickly.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about that short shield. So you ADS, you fire, and then when you drop back down, it auto reloads, and then you run out of bullets though. You can keep keep reloading all you want, but you run out of ammo.
You're just a turret at that point.
Yeah, that's right. But you run out of ammo. And the cool thing too that I saw that Bife noticed was there was an exotic SMG that I think was the Vice SMG, that when you're taking damage, it auto reloads. And then if he was as a warlock in his rift that heals him, he basically was invincible and had and it had never-ending ammo. So he was just mowing people down. So I think, and the Mark Noseworthy interview that Paris did, he talked about, and we talked about this on Guardian Radio last week a little bit, how the different guns are going to actually just interact with each other, is what he said. And people are speculating, is that akimbo? Is that dual wielding? I don't think it's that. I think it's more going to be related to foundries. So if you're using all Suros weapons or all Vice weapons or all certain, they might help have a perk tier that does stuff. So that, and then mods I'm really excited about. So, but my favorite gun that I used, to answer your original question, was that Sunshot.
So thinking a little bit about the guns, but also you touched on the different nodes on the subclass. Do you think that there's always going to be a meta, but do you think there's going to be more viable options going into Destiny 2 compared to the way the meta has been in Destiny 1, where you're kind of locked into a certain setup if you want to, have an advantage in the Crucible?
It's gonna. So all right. So go back to my Luke Smith conversation. I talked to Luke Smith about PvP. I didn't talk to him about the raids. So as I stopped him, we're in the hotel lobby before he goes to dinner, and we're just hanging out kind of at the bar. And I said, I gotta ask you about something. I said, the PvP situation was really, really different, but I really, really liked it. I appreciate the longer time to kill. I appreciate it's more about shooting somebody with a primary weapon. It's not about, spamming people with grenades and doing this, that, and the other thing. And he gets this funny little wry smile on his face, and he goes, "You're going to have some interesting decisions to make in PvP, my friend." So he knows that the way that the way that they've made this with the different nodes, so you can either be a, whatever the way of the this, or the different ways that the little nodes, and you can only do that node, or you can only do this node, so you can only be this subclass or this subclass, which is also why I think Defender Bubble Titans are coming back, because I think the Sentinel Titan is the offensive node, is going to be the shield that you can throw it. There's obviously one where you can use it as a shield and walk forward, but I think it's really easy to just add a node, which is the Defender node, and now you have the bubble again, because Zavala showing the bubble in the reveal in Homecoming, it obviously still exists because he's popping his bubble in that first mission, and potentially they show it in the thing. There's somebody with a shield there doing their thing, so I think that bubbles will come back. But to answer your question about PvP, it's going to come down to play style, and you're going to have to make a decision on how you want to play. And you can't have a hybrid of, well, I'm going to select this and that, and I'm going to do this move, and you can't do that. You have to select your play style, which I really, really like. And then you can look and see, okay, this person is playing as that. So we know if we get into this certain engagement, he's going to be a bubble, or he's going to be a shield, or this person's going to be a Dawnblade, or whatever the case is. You're going to know going in. Not only that, with all the new HUD information that you have, you know exactly what they did, when they did it, and where they did it. So there's just a lot of information that they're giving people. And I think it goes back to, again, that competitive scene where when it gets to that competitive 4v4 situation, those people that think of the triple Rex of the world, they see that information, they process that really quick, and they know what to do, where to go, and how to defend it or how to attack it. And that's what that information gives you. And it's really, really cool. And then outside of that, I think my favorite thing about the PvP changes was the radar itself has gotten less information. So the radar itself now, it tells you if you can tell if somebody's above you or below you or on the same level. You're not going to be able to do that in D2. It only has a certain circumference as far as the area that somebody's in. So somebody can't be across the map and you know that they're that direction. They're not going to be in range. And then when you do get in range, you're not going to know if they're above you or below you. So the flanking possibilities are going to be ridiculous. So I think that's going to actually help the average player to flank and try and surprise people that are very, very skilled. So there's a lot of really cool, all the changes. Like I said, every change that they've made, I've loved all of it. So as far as the subclasses go, I think it's going to be pick a play style and you're going to have to commit to it.
Yeah. Jez, did you have any other questions for our guest?
No. Did you get to play all the 3 classes?
I did. I played the Hunter the least because for some reason, unfortunately, the story mission, you could only play Warlock, which was kind of weird. The Strike, we actually waited in on a one station that they said, hey, come over here. Instead of they didn't make us get in line. They had us, me, Bell, and Justin, we went over and we stood by a thing and they pulled us in. So we got to choose which one we play. I played the Hunter, I played the Titan, Bell played the Hunter, and Justin had to play the Warlock. And
had to play,
yeah. He's normally a Hunter. But I did get to play all 3. All 3 are excellent. The only thing that was a little disappointing about the Hunter is he's basically, there's a couple different things, that are different with as far as your third ability and whatnot, which is really, got Shade Step. But he's really just, even that Arc Strider is just a blade dancer with a pole. He's a pole dancer, right? So the differences with the Hunter weren't dramatic. The differences with the Striker Titan, which is the only one we got to play, weren't dramatic. They were different though, because you had your shield, you had that third ability, and you can change which shield you wanted to use. And then the Titan Smash became a roaming super, which freaked me out the first time because I'm like, I got this. I'm going to go smash these guys. And I smash them and I'm still supered. I'm like, wait a minute. I did it again. Wait, I did it again. And I was freaking out. I did 4 smashes in a row and I was like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? I just did 4 smashes. And that's when we figured out they're all roaming supers. It was just bananas. So again, that's one of those, but the radius is smaller. So you have to tactically, if you're talking about PvP, be a little more careful.
Should note that the Golden Gun was a 6-shot fanfire.
It was, but it does less damage, and the timer goes so fast that it's even difficult to get the 6 shots off, let alone aim and get 6 shots off. So, and to put that furthermore, if you're a Titan and you have your shield, you can literally take 2 Golden Gun shots right to the face without dying. It's the third one that'll finally get you. So it depends on how you want to play that. If you want to play it more, if you're 4v4, is what's 6 shots going to do you other than you're spraying? Not to mention, when do you ever, see all 4 of them at one time? So you may want to have just the 3 that are more powerful that have a longer timer. So again, it's going to get down to play style and what your goal is. If you're in a PvE situation and you just want to blast everybody, then that's where you probably want your 6 shots. But it's literally hard to get all 6 shots off and aim them and get them in. So, I think it's okay. It's not overpowered that you have 6 Golden Gun shots. It's just the timer's really quick. It doesn't do as much damage. So we'll see.
Agrios, on to you, my friend.
Well, everybody pretty much asked all the questions I had thought of in advance, and I haven't really come up with anything more impressive right now. Yeah, I didn't really come up with anything more elaborate than what was asked.
Sure.
Okay,
well,
well,
I got
We're
Shark
just
Scott's
asking
it.
about the reveal right now, right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
You
questions
can
you
ask
have for KDub?
for breakfast if you want, Agrios.
Eggs and toast.
You tweet those sometimes. I've seen them.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let Gray go first. I'll be back because I'm gonna do something real quick. So, but I have some more questions before we move on.
Night, Mystic.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Mystic, for coming out. And Agros, yeah, feel free to think on if anything comes to mind. We'll certainly circle back around. But as you were enjoying Destiny 2, which we're extremely jealous that you got to do this, was there anything that you took away that that left you feeling somewhat disconcerted about the state of Destiny 2? Was there a feature? Was there something you were looking forward to that, in the limited amount of information that you got, which is still, quite a bit of the game, was there something that's still in the back of your mind that you're wondering, oh man, I hope that this is still there, or this is going to be in the game?
It wasn't so much I hope this is still there. The only thing that was disconcerting was the reaction of people about not having 60 FPS on console. And I had probably a 20-minute conversation with Triple Rec about that specific thing. Because I've met Ari before. He's an awesome dude. We hung out at Guardian Con last year. He's a really, really nice guy, by the way. But I specifically I said, dude, sorry, you're a PvP guy. And let me ask you this. What do you think about the 60 FPS thing? He's like, dude, it means nothing. He's like, the most important thing is about connection, not about the frames per second. And they're going to be more concerned as far as matchmaking goes in D2 about connection, in which we just talked about that the other night on Guardian Radio, and about how they're doing that. And it's going to be a hybrid with dedicated servers and peer-to-peer, and it's going to be more connection-based. So I think that they're going down the right road as far as that goes. But with the amount of graphics and the amount of shit that's going on in Destiny, especially if you're in a raid or something, to try and have 60 FPS, it's just, you're going to go back to having teleporting ogres again. And we don't want that. We would rather not have that. So I would rather it be 30 FPS on console and it still looks brilliant and everything is smooth. And then, of course, PC is going to be ridiculous because of the power of it. I mean, I'm running, you guys know I play Paragon, and we have Paragon Radio, and I've got console and I've got a PC. I play it all on PC because it's just better, because I can process so much more information. I had to play a game today on PS4, and my cursor was you could just slightly see a jitter in the cursor on the console, whereas when I'm on PC, it's smooth as butter. And it was the same thing at the Destiny 2 reveal. When you went back to that back to the PC area, which is a whole separate room, man, and you look at the graphics, they're ridiculous, and everything is just so smooth and buttery. It looks amazing. And with the way the computers can process with these graphics cards and the processors, and if you've got a good internet connection, it's gonna be smooth as silk, man. It just is what it is. And the consoles are great, but it's just they don't have the power. And that's what Luke Smith said in that interview that they did with IGN, is like, the processing power just isn't there. And so
yeah, he even went a little bit further than that. He actually said they tried it wouldn't run it. It literally wouldn't run it, which is, you could criticize them by saying you did not optimize your game well enough. And I would go back and say, any company's got limited resources that they're going to invest in. Why not have more features in the game at 30 frames per second than less features? Because they still have a finite of time to program this game. So I think that they made the right decision, especially because some people are going to be fortunate enough that they can play on both. And if they want that experience, they can play it on PC.
And there's also an anyways clause to that too, is because they didn't want to completely, they can't separate the pools of people playing on the PS Pro and the regular PS4s. And the PS Pro, even if they could manage to tweak it out to make 60 frames per second, the original PS4 certainly couldn't do it. And they can't have people competing on different levels in the Crucible, one at 60 frames per second, one at 30. So why bother even trying to make it run on the Pro when there's no hope for the PS4 anyway?
Right. Yep, I agree.
Sharks, back to you, my friend.
Okay, so my first question is, now this is not counting PC. You got to pretend that you didn't see the PC build. Okay. No,
Okay.
no. I mean, it didn't. No, this is serious.
I'm with
okay?
you. I'm with you.
And you also have to realize that because you play on a normal PS4, right? You don't play on a Pro.
I don't have a Pro yet. Right.
Okay, so also realize that you are playing on an upscaled PlayStation when you did this. Do you feel, based off of what you saw from this game, that it's enough to say that it's a new game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though there's so much that is much the same.
Well, here's the thing. So I had this discussion. Bife and I were talking about this. People keep saying, "Oh, it's reskin. It's just a DLC." Dude, what do you expect? So the whole thing, and this is like when we had the whole Division fiasco, where we're all going to play the Division, right? When we finally came back after a week of playing the Division, we were like, "Oh, thank God, I can jump again. I can move." It's the reason Destiny is Destiny is literally about movement. It's about how you move as a guardian. So what did people want? They want you. Did they want us to not be guardians anymore? Like, did they want us to? So go ahead.
No, go
Sorry.
on. You answer.
Well, I was just gonna say. So, it has to be still Destiny. It has to be still, you're a Titan, you're a Warlock, you're a Hunter. Maybe they bring something else in, another fourth one or something. But what were people expecting or wanting? And the funny thing is, the only people that are really the naysayers on all that are calling it a DLC are the same naysayers that have been the naysayers all along. So it's not anybody that's new. It's somebody it's not like more console going, this sucks. This is a DLC. No. It's not something like that. It's not any of us. It's the people that are just want to be critical of Bungie, or have some sort of vendetta, or have some sort of thing that they want to be negative about. Right. It's just the internet. But the reality of it is a different game. I'll tell you what. You go play Destiny 1 PvP right now. You go into Crucible, and you come back and talk to me when the beta comes out, and you go play Crucible, and you tell me that it's not a different game, because I'm telling you right now it is.
But I think
Crucible right now is a different game than it was 2 months ago anay.
It's very true. I mean, that's very true.
But that's not what he means. He means the whole feel of it. Okay, now this is.
I mean that too.
So I'll put that from my perspective though. I love this game. I wouldn't play it as much as I do, and I know I'm going to probably love Destiny 2. And in a week and a half, I'm going to have an opportunity to feel it just like you have, and then I'll have a better perspective also. But you say, oh, well, what are people expecting? I didn't expect to have all the grenades be pretty much the same. I didn't expect for them to come in and say, okay, well, I'm going to tweak this super by giving you 4 smashes. I mean, the Blade Dancer to me looks like a Blade Dancer.
The Arc Strider is a Blade Dancer. It is.
Yeah, so they didn't really change much of that at all, except for like the animation. Yeah, the Sun Singer, it looks different. It does something completely different, but all it is hammers. So so I go back and I say, well, okay, I get where people are saying it's DLC, but at the same time, I think, well, okay, well, it's a different game, and you don't want to change it, just like you're saying. You don't want to change it too much, but you look at it like that perspective. Do you say maybe they didn't do enough? They could have done more. I mean, especially since it's a new game.
No, because here's the thing. What we have seen so far is only what they've shown us, which is a very limited amount. So I think what we don't know is, look, the Titan Sentinel is completely different. The way that the Warlock, Dawnblade, and everything that solar Warlock works is completely different. I understand people are saying it's like hammers. It's not really. The drop off is different. The way that it affects is different. The way you're floating in the air is different. The riff and the third ability and all these different things that you have makes it a completely different game. It's a totally different thing when you can go around a corner, pop that rift, have a health or a weapons rift, and then use it tactically. It's a more tactical game now,
right?
And which is what it needed to be. It's not
it's
just
what we've been asking for.
Right.
Really,
it's a more tactical game. And then what's really going to blow people away is I think once we get to the real open world type situation where it is more MMO like, and we have these different NPCs and we have these different things and places to go and these different adventures and the lost sectors and all this stuff, that is completely different. That's a different game.
That's when, see, I think that's when people are really going to say it's different. Right. And in that regards, like I'm on that side saying, oh, well, you could have just gone in with the same supers. That would have been really cheesy, but you could have, if you had changed the whole game aspect, which it sounds like they have, and then it would be a new game. So, you know, I'm playing both sides of the field. I'm doing what Agrios always does. You know, it's causing the problem. But it is real questions for somebody that has had a chance to really grasp it and feel it and see what their perspective is.
I think, and you'll be able to play it, I think, at E3 too, Sharks, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. But it is different. So, yes, it's still your Guardian. Yes, you still know how to jump. Yes, you still know how to melee. Yes, you still know how to throw a grenade. None of that stuff changed. But you don't have 7 grenades. You don't have one every 10 seconds. You got maybe 1 grenade. Yep. You know, you in a PvP match, if you're doing really well, you'll get 2 supers, but usually you're only getting 1. So they really made it more about the gunplay, which is and the tactical stuff of using that third ability loads quicker. So I can pop my shield up, or that warlock can use his rift a lot more often than you have a grenade or you have a super.
Right.
So they made it more about tactical and gunplay, which is really, really cool. And that's what we've been asking for. That's what the public has been asking for.
Yep.
So they did every single thing that everybody has asked for, other than 60 FPS on console. And they did that so we're not bitching more later, because we would have. You know,
right.
If they tried to push that to 60 FPS and the thing's lagging and jumping around all the time, and we got red bars everywhere, and it sucks, it would have killed the game. It would have been the Division, and they can't have that. So it is a different.
Now my second question goes into the complete opposite spectrum. Playing on a PS4 Pro, playing on PC, looking at how amazing this game is on those systems, and knowing that you are going to play on both PlayStation and PC, at least at first.
Yep.
Do you not think that it's going to be really difficult for people to do that? Because I mean, I heard to play both. What do you mean? to go and play on a PC and see how amazing it is, and then you go back and you go, I mean, I heard it from Tefty said it, Pope Bear said it. Every single person that was down there that said they walked into that room and they were like, oh, this is amazing, and then they walked back out into the other room and they're like, oh shit, this looks like crap. I mean, they didn't really say that.
That's not true. So let me make that. So all right, so it looks so. The first thing you do is you play on the PS4 and you're like, holy crap, this looks great, and it is, and it still looks amazing on PS4 Pro. But then when you go to the PC side, it's not that it's just a little more vibrant as far as colors and pop, right? Because of it's the movement of your reticle and your movement of your anything that you're doing when you go to look a certain way. There's no jitter at all. But they're also but hang on, they were running $2,500 PCs.
Yep.
Not including not including the monitor, mind you.
No, I know, but they were also running those expensive PCs on half power.
Well, they were running them at 60 FPS at 4K.
Yeah, but no, they said that they were only pushing those PCs at mid range.
They were.
So that means they could look even better.
Absolutely, you're right. Well,
what he's saying is they didn't beef the settings up as high as they could have.
No, they were right. They were running at 60.
that goes back to the same thing though, KDub. Okay, so you got an awesome.
You have it uncapped. I understand what you're saying, right?
You got a new rig. You know, you're gonna load it up one morning, and you're gonna play it in the morning with Mark, and you're gonna go, holy shit, Mark, why the hell are we playing on PS4? Because every time I go back to PS4, I go, don't you think people are really gonna feel that way?
Possibly.
And do you think that that's surprising that Bungie has done that, especially with how close they are working with PlayStation?
No, because of the dollar. So every corporation is about growth. You have to grow. Right. So the only way that they could really grow this game is to have a whole nother platform come in. And the only other platform that there is, unless they're bringing it to Nintendo, is going to be go on PC.
That's confirmed. Well, here first. You heard it here first.
I'm just saying. So it was obvious with them, Activision owns Blizzard.
Yep.
MLG, all these different things. It was just too connected that it had to happen. So that's why it was so funny. People thinking it was going to come out on Steam. I wanted to slap people.
No, I know. I never.
In any event, so it was just a natural progression of where it was going to go. Once they got the thing going really with Blizzard and said, look, we know, because what everybody's afraid of with PC, right, is the mods and breaking the game and cheaters and whatnot. And with it going through Blizzard, who are the chiefs of the banhammer, if you want to cheat, you better get ready to go buy a new router. It's just they did again. What was one of those things that they just did it all right. Yep. And so but here's the thing, it ain't cheap to get a nice PC that's going to run it right. Nope. I mean, you could probably. I mean, I think Briar Rabbit put out a video a couple weeks ago or last week that you could do it for like $500. You could probably get a PC that would run it adequately at 60 frames for $500, not including your monitor. And that might be true. But so I had this discussion with somebody else. They go, okay, let's even say you do that for $500. That's more than a console. If you want to update your graphics card later on, that's more money. That's more money. That's what you just keep dumping money into it. Mm-hmm. Most people don't have that, and they just have a console.
Exactly.
So does it look like crap on console? No, it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's still awesome. I played every single match. I didn't play on PC at all. I just saw it on PC. I asked one of the devs that was there. I was like, can I go grab one of those PS4 controllers and bring it in here? and he wouldn't let me, because when I play on PC, I'll be using a controller.
Right.
I don't mouse and keyboard, man. I used to do that.
It's not about.
I used to do it on WoW, but man, you got to have the mouse skills and have that quick reflex of knowing how far to move and look, and it's a really, really learned skill that I have
those
lost.
Skills to click those buttons.
Yeah. Well, and changing the DPS on the fly. That's a technique too.
It's more about the look and knowing how far to move, and it's not easy. You got to.
I was making a joke because clickers are hated.
Right. So sure. I'll be playing on with a controller on PC, but you're absolutely right, Sharks. If you're playing on PC and you go back to PS4, you're gonna be like, eh. I mean, I did it today playing Paragon. I was on PS4 and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And you're right. Yeah, it is a difference.
I'm glad you brought up Paragon, because you play a ton of Paragon, and I want to know if there was some feature in Paragon that you'd like to see replicated in Destiny. What would it be?
Well, the thing that really has us hooked on Paragon so much is it's about tactics. It's not about just who is the quickest at moving their thumb and putting a reticle over somebody else's face. It's not a shooter, bro. It's a tactical game. You have to. It's we can counter somebody. If you have this character in this position, we have this character that can do this, and there's different skills and different things that each character can do that will counter somebody, or that can freeze somebody, or that can stun somebody, or whatever the case is. It's a tactical game. That's what we like about it. So, Mark and I are kind of cerebral guys. We like to think about, and that's what's cool about Destiny 2 is it's going to be more tactical. It's not just going to be about, and that's the reason I didn't like Call of Duty, is because Call of Duty was just whoever sees the other person first wins. And it sucks, man. And, at least even with Destiny now, even if somebody gets a jump on you, you have a chance to get the hell out of there. And if you blink or whatever the case might be, you got a grenade or whatever the case, there might be a way that you can get away. But with like a COD situation, whoever sees the other person first, you win. And that sucks. So Destiny's even gone farther down the road of its more tactical and longer TTKs, which is great. And that's kind of what we like about Paragon is it's tactical. You have to use your brain and frame engagements and know when to attack somebody and when to back off, when to engage and when to disengage. Some characters have an escape and some don't. So then you need to think about that. Okay, well, this character I have doesn't have an escape, so I put this card on that gives me an escape, but that makes you less powerful. So there's a trade-off there. So there's just it's just a more tactical, cerebral game, and that's what we like about it.
Okay, so this is my last question before I put it back to the panel and then move on. And this is the most important question of the night.
What am I drinking? I'm just kidding.
Now, no. Okay, that should be. Okay, now this is a kind of question that I would ask. But in this case, this question is not coming from me. It is coming from Mark Square. Mark Square wants to know what Deej smelled like.
Let me think about that.
I feel like normally this is where the question that Gray would ask.
So I don't know if it was
Old Spice.
I don't know if it was Old Spice or if it was. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, he didn't have a distinct odor, but I will say this. So I was talking to Deej, and he was asking me, and he was wiped, dude, because they've been out there all day. And he goes, we're having a drink, and he goes, "Are my eyes red?" And they were freaking bloodshot. And I was like, "No, man, you're good." He was like, "Great. First thing we do is you lie to me." Because you could tell they were all exhausted, man. I mean, that was just a long deal for them. And they had been going since, I don't even know what time it was before that. But he was really, really cool, really, really gracious. The funny thing about Deej is if he's not on camera, having to do his political deflecting that he does as a professional, and you get him outside of that realm, he's a different person. He's really, really cool. For like half the time that I was talking to Steve Cotton, he had a laser on him like it was a sniper laser. Screwing with him, right? So it's just funny that, obviously that's his job. The distinct smell I didn't get, but I will say he's even funnier than you think he is.
I think Mark was worried. We were having discussions that maybe he would smell like mothballs since his seeds were in boxes for so long.
No. I didn't get any of that.
As Remy would say, moving on, Sharks. Moving on. I got a couple more questions, but we won't belabor this too long. We'll get to some news that Agrios may or may not have, thanks to This Week at Bungie getting pushed back a day, probably because of the holiday weekend. But Agrios or Jez, any other questions for KDub?
Yeah, KDub, what do you think? So based on what you've seen so far, I mean, they said the next dose of D2 we're going to get is going to be at E3. What do you think the big headlines about Destiny 2 are going to be coming out of E3? Now, I don't mean like the beta date. I mean,
that's literally going to be it. I mean, I've got some information on what's coming out at E3 that I can't share, but you're gonna and I don't know this for sure, but you're probably gonna get beta date. And I think you're gonna get some more stuff about PC kind of information, because that's what everybody's all geeked up about. Hey, it's the first time it's ever coming to PC, so they're probably, I don't know this for sure, they're probably going to be promoting that. So I think really, and I will say this, because we asked like all these interviews and all the people that we talked to, like, what's going on, E3, and they're like, guys, relax. This was our big day. Today was our big day. Today was everything. There's going to be a couple little things at E3.
So you don't think they're going to unveil any other secrets about the game in general?
If they might go a little bit more in depth about adventures, you might get a little peek at the raid, maybe small, not big, and you're going to probably get a beta date, and they're going to go into more about PC. They're really what we experienced. Look, they did that big, huge, giant thing for the Destiny community, the people that are the hardcore Destiny people, and made a huge production. E3, they're just a sideshow of this huge show. So they're not going to have the kind of time that they had over an entire day to showcase Destiny. They're going to have a little tiny window where they do a certain, spiel on PlayStation's thing, and then they have a booth, and then they have maybe some gameplay. There's not going to be time to have all these new revolutionary things that we haven't seen before. They're just not going to have the time.
Right, but I mean, E3 is the point where they capture the attention of new people outside the Destiny community. So
which is why I think it's going to be a PC.
Okay, so you want to know what's really funny, KDub, is Agrios and I were having this discussion. You know how Agrios and I are. We have our long hour-long discussion during the day and go and throw stuff back and forth. And we were debating, and I told him that exactly what you're telling him. I told him that Bungie is not going to reveal anything else at E3, and he was like, "No, you've got to." And I disagreed with him, and I totally agree with you. I was like, "No, they don't need to."
I had the conversation with Deej and Steve Cotton both directly about E3,
yep.
And they said there's going to be a couple of the tidbits. That's it.
Because there's the people that haven't seen it wouldn't have watched the Bungie stream, and it will be new to them. Now, Agrios' counter to that was, what about all the media that did go? Because all the media went. But right. I don't think it really matters at that point. It's just rehashing of the same stuff.
And they're going to have all these other things to cover. So yep. That's the thing. That's why this was their big thing. This is just us. There ain't nobody else. There's no, Far Cry, there's nothing else here. It's just Destiny 2. This is our big day. This is our big reveal. This is the whole thing. We've got 460,000 freaking people watching on Twitch. It was a big deal, and that was their big day. So E3 is just going to be a recap of what we just saw, and then probably the beta date, which is going to be the big announcement, and it'll probably be Hirschberg will probably be up there with the beta date, and they'll probably have some gameplay there that people can get hands on because they want to impress more people. So if you want to impress more people, how are you going to do that? Is it going to be PC? Are they going to have consoles? Are they going to both? I don't know. But they're going to want to make it look really, really freaking cool, right? So if you imagine that, it's probably going to be PC. And, the beta date and maybe a quick glimpse at the raid, which I actually hope they don't do.
It'd probably be more PS exclusive stuff.
Yeah, and then they could announce the PS. There probably maybe there's a bundle or something. I mean, I don't know. They usually do that.
So I was thinking new PvP mode.
Maybe that's a maybe. They could maybe show that, and then maybe that's what's playable is another PvP mode.
I was thinking that might be my likely candidate for the major feature to be unveiled from E3.
So you got to think there's going to be something playable at E3. What's going to be playable at E3? They're not going to have as many consoles and stations as they could have at this huge event. There's going to be a small amount of consoles or PCs or whatever they're playing on at there. So are they going to have just be PvP? I mean, remember that E3 way back when Mark worked it was just PvP, right? And they talked to him about the Crucible, and they're teaching about the Crucible.
Yeah, so, in the past, they played PvP for the general public, and then if you got tapped on the shoulder, they took you behind closed doors and let you run the strike, is what they were doing. Correct.
So maybe something like that again. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of stuff that we haven't seen. It's going to be pretty minimal. I think the big announcement's going to be beta date. And I can't see being much more, honestly.
But likely a new recut trailer, but
okay,
maybe a live action trailer. I don't know.
Let's step to that. Okay, so tomorrow the Bungie weekly update, or this week at Bungie, has been delayed till tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time, right when they like to release things. Does anybody else think that we're going to get a trailer tomorrow?
We're probably going to get something because having a set time is the suspect part.
And it's that time, the one they always pick to do everything at.
Don't you think also that it's going to be something teasing E3?
Do you think we're going to get to live action, or do you think we're going to get to E3 sneak peek?
I think we're gonna get the little live action video or whatever it's gonna be in the game, because they always do that at 10.
I would like a new Vidoc.
Oh, that'd be excellent.
A new Vidoc.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't
awesome.
think we're getting them yet, though. I think that they'll
Right.
probably do that after we've had our hands on the game. But I would absolutely love it.
Drop a
I'll
new
tell you this.
Vidoc at E3.
A new
They usually do.
a new Vidoc though going into E3 would bring some hype to it, but
Well,
I don't
remember
know.
they played that one real sweet one that Guardian Radio practically did the voiceover for
Yep.
at E3. I mean,
Yep.
what right? That's when they premiered that, and they played it, just ran it in a loop for people in line in E3.
Yep, while you're in
Yeah.
line. Yeah, that is true. So if you're in line waiting to play PvP and it's a long friggin' line probably, yeah, that's very possible that maybe that's what gets launched tomorrow and that's what's playing in line.
Possibly.
You know, I don't know.
There was crap.
Maybe a
totally lost
recap.
track.
Maybe a recap that's been edited from the D2 reveal event.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man.
I could see that too.
Could be a lot of
Yep.
things. Yeah.
The one problem I could see with thinking it's a Vidoc is we had so many like little Vidocs in that hour-long presentation.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the Vidoc will come at E3, and I feel like I'm going to go ahead and throw down my call for the live action trailer tomorrow. I know it's reaching.
Yeah,
for a
that's
little
that's
bit,
pretty
but
that's pretty likely though.
That's
Yeah,
good hype.
Are we thinking
generating
more
people going
Zeppelin?
to E3
You think we're gonna
without
go with
giving any
Zeppelin
info.
again?
I don't know. I think
Um,
they did Zeppelin over the top last
This time it's Metallica.
Metallica.
Cool with that. Cool with that.
Rooting for the Bee Gees. Little Bee Gees in there.
What?
Depends.
No.
It depends on the dance moves, right?
You're all wrong. It's going to be Katy Perry, and everybody's going to be just...
Okay.
Ooh.
I will quit Destiny.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty positive, KDub. What have you not heard word one about? Mum's the word, tight lips. What are you most worried about that you haven't heard anything about? So that worries you.
Man, I can't. I mean, other than not getting even a sneak peek of the raid, I think how they're going to handle us losing our light and what it takes to get it back and how long does that take? What is it? Do you have to do that? Do you have to do that in separate areas for each? So in order to get your light back as a Titan, you got to go to Titan. As a Warlock, you got to go IO. And
Well, going
the
by
cases.
the storyline that they mentioned about each place and how each place is one of the vanguards been like traveling there, it seems like Zval is going to Titan just because, oh, you got your light back, I'm here to see if I can get mine. So I think we get ours pretty early, and
Yeah,
well,
help others get theirs.
It would make all the sense for us to get it right away, because we're going to go to the European Dead Zone first, and that's where the Traveler's power is, because that huge chunk of the Traveler
Shard,
is sitting
right.
there, you know.
Right.
So it's like I would be very, very surprised. I know Remy has been, you know, talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks now. It's like, oh, you know, it's going to maybe not have any power for half the game. I doubt that. So doubt that. I think we're going to have the potential to start leveling up our powers almost instantly.
And I
gonna be
agree.
pretty
I
quick,
just think
yeah.
we're just going to have to go through them one by one, and this is their excuse to make us have a progression through them one by one.
Here's the thing that I'm excited about, though. What's it gonna be like fighting as a Guardian without our light?
But I don't even think that's like almost ever going to happen. Like, I think literally, like Shark says, it's going to be like a story mission till we start our progression back up like normal and have our light. It's just going to be like a gimmicky one-off mission. And I think the we don't have our light is literally the whole massive army of Guardians have lost our light. And the story is us as a group dealing with that. And we've managed to reclaim ours, and we have to show everyone else how.
Well, you know, the Unknown Player did a video last week that had a Titan walking through an area, and he had a shotgun, and it had a flashlight on the end of it.
Yep.
which was really, really interesting because when do you ever need a flashlight? You have your ghost that's your flashlight.
Right.
So is that when we don't have our light and we don't have our ghosts?
Yeah, but think about it though. We've gone through areas in past games where it was super dark.
But then your ghost pops on and it gives you a light.
No, the ghost doesn't pop on.
Most places he does.
But I'm talking about when you're fighting, the ghost doesn't pop on. Like when you're down in the pit, going after Crota, it's dark. I mean, it's not that dark, but it's dark.
Right, but there's literally a darkness, like, you know, when you get to a certain level of threshold, right? It pops on. And so there's two things. So number one, you've got a flashlight on the end of your gun, which means you don't have a ghost probably. Number two, that also means you have a mod on your gun, which is a flashlight, which I'm really excited.
Unless you get it just for that mission. Like you literally find that laying there and be like, oh, we can use this one with the light on it.
Okay, so no, I think KDub's got it right. There are mods for things like that, and I think they're going to be used. You know, I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but they had guns up there. Your eyes were trained on that one with all the rats, but there was a gun with a silencer on it.
Okay, so wait a minute now. Do we think that if you get a shotgun, and put a flashlight mod on it, or some other type of gun and put a silencer mod on it, do you think the silencer mod gun, you don't show up on the radar? Do you think that the flashlight mod gun, shotgun, if you like ADS someone's face with it, it blinds them like a...
No, I think, well, the flashlight mod is going to be only specifically for when you don't have a ghost. It's kind of a silly...
Why couldn't it be for PvP? Look, Call of Duty did that.
What, a flashlight? Like, what do you...
Yeah,
okay.
you would have...
Well, shotguns are heavy now. They got to be better than they used to be.
You'd bring up a gun, and it would blind you.
I tell you what, Sharks, you put the flashlight on your gun, and I'm going to put a better scope on my gun, and let's see who wins.
Okay. Hey, you hear that? You heard that here first. KDub and I 1v1.
First beer bet with KDub for Destiny 2 right
KDub,
here.
You know what the problem with that is?
You put a flashlight on the end of yours, I'm going to put a bayonet on the end of mine. All right, let's see what happens.
You shit. Of course you would. Right.
I'm just always pissed that it takes D batteries. Who has D batteries?
Right.
Who has D batteries?
The problem with the scope versus flashlight debate, though, is that if you have a flashlight on the end of your gun and someone looks at it through a scope, it's going to be super bright.
I know. That's true. Depends how close you are, I guess.
So Lays in the comments makes a good point. He says that the collector's edition does come with a solar panel charged light.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a good point.
Adding to that thing that we need a flashlight for some reason.
Yeah.
We'll be in the darkness zone. It's like, guys, I gotta go to a mission on Mercury. I gotta charge up my battery.
Wait,
for my flashlight.
I can't see. Is anything got a flashlight? I can't see right now.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. I think the mods is that's a whole new thing. That's another thing that makes it a different type of a game.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. There's going to be other things that we don't know yet that are going to make it even more different than what Destiny 1 was. I think we've got a lot more in store for us, you know.
One of the things that they... Oh, go ahead, Jess.
I think mods, and you'll probably think of this similar if, as I mention it, I think it's going to be a lot more like enchantments.
How do you mean?
Like ways to affect your weapon. Like, you know how in WoW you would have like Crusader and stuff like that.
Here's a question we had on Guardian Radio the other night is, okay, let's say we do have mods and it's just like COD or Division or whatever, and you have mods for these guns. So does every mod fit on every foundry of gun? Or do we have to have different mods for different foundries?
Well,
well, hang on. Let me finish, and I'll throw it to you. So, I think that any mod can fit on any. You know, a certain mod is for an SMG, or a certain mod is for a hand cannon, or a certain mod is for an auto rifle. I don't think it can be per foundry because just vault space, bro. You can't even imagine all the mods for all the different guns, and then foundries, and then we've already got vault space issues. So I think it's just going to be the type of weapon and the different mods. So that was kind of the thing that, because the reason I thought of that is because what Mark Noseworthy said about the way that weapons will interact with each other. So there's going to be some sort of an iteration of how these different weapons that you have equipped interact with each other, and then mods on those weapons. It's just going to be, there's so many more options of what we're going to have to do. It's going to be really, really cool to discover all this stuff.
The removal of last gen and the new game architecture that they're working off of, the vault space is really still going to be an issue?
Vault space shouldn't have been an issue in the last iteration.
Shouldn't have been. That's why I mean, you really think it's going to be in D2?
Okay,
I don't know, man. We don't even have a vault in D2. What are you talking about?
Well, but that's the point, though. Okay, so now,
well, I mean, my shack out back or whatever.
This is what I'm gonna throw at you for that. Okay, so you're saying, oh, you can't do that. You played the Division. You know what the Division was like. The Division did that. You could get mods, say a scope, and that scope wouldn't fit every gun. It wouldn't even fit every sniper. You know, there were certain things that they do. So Destiny could do that. And the more and more I think about this, I think that that's too hopeful to think that they're actually doing that. I don't think they're really going down that route, but I would be super excited because this is also what Remy originally thought Destiny was going to be, was this game that had these mods, these different things that you could take.
Because that's all we knew, though. That's all we knew from COD. And every game has been like that.
Right, exactly. You know, but
also we had a character named the Gunsmith.
There's no reason. There's no reason that it couldn't be. And I mean, with a lot of the stuff that Bungie has done over the past 3 years, and presumably bringing into this next iteration of its game, they have been listening to the community. They know that people have wanted this for the longest time, so it would make sense for them to do it. I don't want to jump on this bandwagon and say, oh, yeah, it's going to do it, and then be really disappointed, just like everybody was disappointed that they couldn't have beards. And that was really basic, dumb stuff. You know, having mods and doing all these modifications onto a gun, yeah, it'd be awesome if they do it. The thing about vault space, you know, they already said, well, okay, well, our vault got blown up. But yeah, you don't even need vault space anymore. They're just going to say you have, you know, endless supply. You just go through it. And that's why they're not even talking about it.
It can't be endless.
But it can be. It really can be, because you can look at
No. Wait. Technologically, they could make it, yes. But if it were, people would go bonkers.
But people do that. People do that in games. Look at Agrios. I played this game. I played it enough, and I don't know why I played it, because I told Agrios I didn't like it, but I went and bought it, and I played it anyways. Stupid Fallout. And it's nothing against that company. If you guys are watching this, I'm sorry. I just don't like that kind of game. But Agrios would do that. He literally keeps everything. And people will do that. Not everybody would do that. There are other people that we know in our clan that played that game that would pick and choose through stuff, or they would dismantle stuff.
And I'm more about the economy of games. So anything that I collect, I want to know what it's worth.
Right.
And what it's worth is, you know, what can I sell it for? And do I have something that is at least as good as it? And what can I sell that? Because I want to monetarily make sure that my economy is as good as it can be. And I don't keep all that stuff unless if there's a specific gun that's sentimental to me, you know, like a Fatebringer or whatever, then yeah. So, that's where we ran into the vault space issue, with guns that we love.
But that's why I'm saying that in theory they actually could do that, and I don't think they do. I don't think they would. I don't really see the point of that. Especially now that I've gotten to the point where I have deleted so much stuff that was that, you know, that special gun. I'm filling up my vault again, and I don't know why I do it, but you know, it's like, look at we go back to the Division. The Division had a lot of really bad problems with it, but there were some really great things that they did. And And having a set amount of spaces to mess around with your mods really wasn't that big of a deal. But again, you didn't have the big division between PvE and PvP like you do in Destiny,
Right.
which we don't know if it's going to be anymore with the split, that they have with stuff. So, but I don't know.
I need you to take a breath and take a drink, my friend, because I need to interject. One thing that I want to bring up, he's out of here. One thing that I want to bring up about weapons, because I am a year 2 player, so it was a very limited scope of my experience in the game that weapons felt rare. The excitement that people talk about when a legendary weapon dropped, I didn't get to experience what the hunger, what the drive after legendary weapons was. I've always lived in a world now where you got 3s a coin and exotics just they come from the sky. They're free. You get them. You don't have to do too much to get them. One of my asks in Destiny 2, what's that, Jess?
Said goddamn millennials.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm older than you, my friend. One thing I want in Destiny 2 is I want guns to feel rare. I want to be able to inspect a player and actually be excited at what I'm going to find. Not have this, bank of weapons that I'm very familiar with. I know everything that's in the game. I know what they probably are using, what's on their player. No, I want to look at somebody and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that gun before. I haven't seen that set of perks, that mod. How do I get that? What do I have to do?
I'm going to disappoint you.
Oh, don't disappoint me.
You're not going to have that. So here's the deal. So they will feel special, but with the amount that we play this game, it's not going to be rare. So when you go into these but the cool thing about it is what you had to go through to get that gun was substantial. I think that's where the difference is. So I think it's going to be more of, it's going to be like the Black Spindle. If you do this, you're going to get this, which is cool. I'm cool with that. It's not going to be one of those, it's just random drops and the friggin' Cryptarch and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be more directed towards, if you find this lost sector and you beat this boss, you have the possibility to get X, whatever this gun is. And so I think it's going to be more like raid drops in the lost sectors for certain treasure that you want to get. And what I don't know about lost sectors is, are they going to be, once you beat it, it's gone? Is it stay there? You can only beat it once? Is it reset every week? Is it like a raid? Like, there's all these different questions that I have about those, as far as the treasures that you get from the chests. I'm calling it a chest for lack of a better term, from the treasure from that lost sector and from adventures and from these different things. It's going to be interesting to see how that works, because I don't know yet. It's going to be really fun, but I don't think it's not going to be oh my God, how did he get that gun? I've never seen that before.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be one of those,
I'm really hoping that those lost sector things are going to be somewhere in the hybrid between a strike and a raid. Whereas a strike right now, you can repeat it over and over again as much as you want, but there's nothing specific and special that comes from them. I mean, they did add the skeleton key chests, so there is something, 1 or 2 specific special things, and I guess there always were 1 or 2 things per raid or per strike, but not the vast amount of things that are special that come from a raid. So I'm hoping that, basically they're almost like somewhere between a strike and a raid, where you can repeat them over and over and over and over again, but they have a really big loot pool and some really, really rare items in that loot pool that are going to entice you to want to, try to fight
do it
for
over
those
and
items.
over. Right. The carrot on the end of the stick is always the thing that we've asked for, right? Give me the carrot on the end. But here's the problem with that. So everybody really hates RNG. They really do, right? Especially if it's a really rare RNG, then it kind of sucks, because if it gets to be mundane. And so that's why everybody liked the Black Spindle quest so much, is because you knew, hey, this is a son of a bitch to do, but if you do it, you get this. You know what the carrot at the end of the stick is, and I think that's what the public prefers versus, all right, you've got a 1 in 48 chance of getting the thing that you want, and then you have to have just generic luck to do it 48 times and get it once. Versus
See,
if your luck sucks, you have to do it 100 times and maybe you get it. Well, screw that, dude. I'm out. I'm playing something else by then.
Yeah.
So
what if they offered a Black Spindle guaranteed drop every time, but then there's also some other crazy cool things that rarely dropped?
I don't know, man. I think it would just become one of those things where, look what I have, haha, and then people get pissed about it and they're grinding and they can't get it and they can't get it.
But don't you think you're going to get that anyways, no matter what they do?
Well, that's what we're saying. So I would hope so. I don't think it's going to be what Agrios is describing. I think that they've learned their lesson not to keep it too difficult to get items, because they've specifically said, that type of a thing, that it's they've literally said it's not going to be that.
I hope that's not the case, because, I mean, as much as people complained about the Gallahorn in year 1, how much fun was it when you finally get your Gallahorn?
It wasn't. I bought it from Zur.
Yeah, like at the end of year 1. Okay, so no, here's the thing, is like, I agree with you to a point, but that's because I had great RNG. For instance, one of my most favorite moments of all time was getting a gun that lots of people didn't get, and it happened to be getting that gun with KDub and his son. We were on a strike. We were on a nightfall. We were hiding under the stupid platform. I can't remember what the name of that strike is at the moment because I've had too much beer. But and Jez knows
Winter's
it. Winter's Run. Thank you. See, I knew he would get it. And I got my icebreaker, and KDub was like, "Oh, that's a really awesome gun." I was like, "Is it?" I don't know anything about it. He goes, "No, that's like great gun. You're gonna love that gun." And it's like, oh, that's such a great memory. But at the same time, I see where KDub's coming from as far as that shouldn't exist. Where as far as you have to maybe get it, it's that sucks. That sucks for people. I felt so bad for so long. I mean, KDub, shit, Agrios. We would go, okay, let's do Crota, and KDub goes, okay, but I don't have Gallahorn. I don't need Gallahorn anyways, but I just want to let you guys know, I don't have Gallahorn. We're like,
well, that might be the problem. Like creating a weapon that's so rare.
Not those horrible people, but that sucks that he literally couldn't get it until they finally sold it again. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Sharks.
I wasn't gonna grind 100. I wasn't gonna grind 100 of those to try and get a galley. I just wasn't gonna do it.
Well, and that's where I think Destiny needs to learn from their mistake, right? The mistake wasn't making galley rare. The mistake was that galley was such a crutch in that experience that people didn't want to do it. Still let the RNG be rare, just don't let the reward from it be such a crutch in the end game at that time.
Well, right. If you're going to make a Black Spindle or a Gallahorn, you got to make that the static reward at the end of the quest.
There's a difference. There's a difference between a crutch and the rarity that
I
was.
believe. No,
we're not talking about the rarity. We're talking about how good the weapon was that you needed to have the weapon. So you
but we didn't. He didn't because he did it for an entire year without having it. So that just shows that it really wasn't needed.
You didn't have to have. It wasn't needed,
but I think you're missing Grace.
It made it. Well, here's the thing. It made it easier, but rarity I believe in. I believe in getting something that's rare, and that's why there's always blue, gold, purple, right? All these different levels of tiers of things, right? Rarity is a cool thing. I mean, like I said, I was a sports card shop owner. Rarity is what makes something worth more, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm cool with the rarity thing, but I think Gray's on the right track. Like, you can make something rare and valuable without making it OP. So I agree with kind of what Gray is going down the road of, like, let's have these rare drops and that's cool, but don't make it something that when you have it, it changes the game.
Or more importantly, changes the dynamics of the community in such a negative way, right? That's what they learned is the weapon is actually probably fine. What they learned from it was how that weapon affected the community. And now you had this huge section of the community which wouldn't play with people who didn't have it.
Right.
Yep.
And I think they learned.
I'll tell you when we were talking about this way back then when Gjallarhorn reigned. My quote was that exotic should be a option, not the option.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, and that's why I totally believe in anti-meta, anti-exotics. I mean, for 2 years, I would go into everything without an exotic, without the meta at the time, because it shouldn't be like that. And people would say, well, you're going in at a disadvantage. You're really not that much of a disadvantage, but in some cases you are. And it's wrong. It's wrong. It shouldn't be like that at all.
Yeah. And Jez, I think that's probably, your motto when it comes to exotic weapons, exotic animals, exotic dancers. If it holds true.
Jesus, great.
All right, we're coming up on probably our last 15 minutes of the show. So we're going to certainly do our shout outs. But before we get to that, does anybody on our panel have any last questions or comments, either about Destiny as it stands today, Destiny 2 as it's going to be coming to us here in just a few short months, or for our special guest, KDub? Judge shakes his head. Agrios is signing off. Sharks?
Yeah, I got a couple little tidbits of news to interject right at the very end, but...
Yep, we'll go to news after Shark stops his frozen... He's frozen on screen. He's good. All right, Agrios, what do you got from news?
All right, so this is a pretty dead week. I see this as the calm before the storm. We didn't even get the Bungie weekly update, like I mentioned before. That drops once again at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So if you want to catch that news. Something to keep in mind, if you haven't pre-ordered Destiny yet and you intend Destiny 2 yet and you intend to do so on the PlayStation, they're going to have a sale that you might want to look into where you get a $15 later. If you spend $100 on PlayStation, it's a good deal. Take advantage of that. And this week, if you're a vanilla collector's edition owner, the Frontier shell at the speaker is a 100% intellect discipline roll. So if you're still gearing up for Destiny 1, you might want to take advantage of that. And
if you want to hang on to something for the next 3 weeks until it explodes, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Till it blows up in a few weeks. But there's an amazing run done this week with no guns, 2-man in the 390 Vault of Glass, full raid.
There was a what? Say it again?
It was a no-gun, 2-man, 390 Vault of Glass run.
Okay.
Pretty impressive.
Respectable,
stuff.
I'd say.
That kind of thing is not going to be possible in D2.
Yeah.
Well, they say that. I'm sure they would have probably said it about this stuff before it launched too.
The only reason I say that is because of how slow everything reloads. Like, you get a grenade every 3 minutes. What are you gonna do?
Also, no sun singers.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
no
that
self-res,
helps a lot.
Well, at least right now, no self-res, because that's very simply all you got to do is put a little node in the sun in there, and now you have self-res. It's really easy for them to bring any of these subclasses back.
But that's all the news worth talking about in the 2 minutes I gave the news this week. So.
Well, that's kind of perfect because it's really, really time to end this show. So let's start with shout outs, and we're going to start with our special guest, KDub.
Man, so I would just really honestly shout out to the people at Bungie that I got to talk to and meet. Between Steve Cotton and Deej, and Cosmo was hammered, by the way. And, just everybody was, Mark Noseworthy, everybody was just unbelievably awesome. And I know people are saying, well, of course they were, man. They're trying to sell it. But, man, it wasn't really that. It was literally, we were just hanging out in a social environment with no cameras rolling, man. We were just kind of chilling out and and talking about stuff. They had, obviously, yeah, we're fans of theirs and we're players and whatnot, but at the end of the day, really, once you start getting some alcohol in people, the truth comes out, man, and it really does. And they're just really, really good people, and they're a lot of fun. And I had just the time of my life at that event, and I just got to thank Bungie for the invite and for the event and for putting on that party, man. It was awesome. It was really, really awesome.
Cool. All right, Jez.
My shout out goes to Wizards of the Coast, an entire company this time, because they're having their big launch of their next product tomorrow at 10 p.m. Pacific, or 10 a.m. Pacific, and they're doing like 2 days of streams, and it's gonna be fun.
Sweet. Agrios.
My shout out this week goes to our crew going to E3. Super pumped about that. Sharks, as he mentioned, isn't going to be on the show next week because he's departing in his vehicle. He's going to be our chauffeur around the Los Angeles area. I'll be flying in and
so he'll be stuck in traffic, is what you're telling me?
Uh-huh. We got our hotel booked and everything this week, so we're all set to go. Me and Jez and Sharks will be rendezvousing for E3. So shout out to our E3 crew there, Jez and Sharks, and myself.
Sweet.
Shout out to yourself.
My shout out this week goes to Paris, aka Vicious696. He's been really, really helpful as far as giving me insight into what to expect from E3. And you never really know what you're going to get yourself into when you haven't done a huge convention like this. So shout out to him. He's been great, very helpful, and I can't wait to finally hook up with him down there and all four of us have some fun. And then I want to pass it over to Gray.
So my shout out this
point out right now. Every time someone said hook up in this podcast, I was not thinking of meet the person. That's not what I expect when I hear hook up. Okay, proceed, Gray.
My shout out this week goes to Hockey, who is a developer for this program called TMAP. He's Australian. Their whole development team is in Australia.
That's a gun foundry. What are you talking about?
Yeah, really cool guy. So he I had reached out to him because I was testing some different applications which can help support Guardian 1 and some of the things that we do here as a clan, and really wanting to put in some better infrastructure for communication and scheduling events and learning about one another, connecting with one another. And so Nerdy Girl and Tech, they were helping us out look at some different programs, and we came across this program called TMAP. It's on your phone, it works on a web browser, and it's really designed for sports leagues. They, in fact, are the title sponsor for the province of Victoria in Australia for their football league, their soccer cup that they have. So it's really focused around those types of team environments, setting up tournaments, rosters, events, that kind of thing. But it's got some great features which apply to gaming. I had reached out to the developers because one kind of oversight in their application, it doesn't synchronize the time zones. And for gamers, we're spread out all across the world. If I'm going to post an event, I want it to show up in your guys' own time zones, not my time zone. And so he actually called me, and he wanted to discuss my ideas and what Guardian 1 would want to do. And he really wants to look at Guardian 1 as a test case for them to adapt their platform better for the gaming community. So they're about 90% there. It's just getting that last 10%, and we at Guardian 1 get to actually have their ear, the ear of the developers, on getting that platform set up better for gaming communities, because this is a huge population that they are in a good position to serve. So my shout out goes to them more because they've developed a great product that we'll be getting more information out to our members here in the next few weeks. But more importantly, that they actually took the time to reach out to us and see what our needs are, and they want to continue this conversation. So that's very exciting for me and very exciting for Guardian 1. So my shout out goes to him. On top of that, we can't end the show without Remy's shout out. He sent this to me in advance. Today is Remy's sister's birthday. This would have been his shout out had he made it. Her name is Kendra, a younger sister by 3 years. So big happy birthday from the Guardian
Happy
One family to
birthday!
Remy's
Nice.
sister Kendra,
Nice.
little
There you go.
sister. And of course, Remy still gets to end the show because he did give me something that he wanted me to read to everybody here that's listening. So this is just his words, what he typed out to me that he wanted me to share. To anyone listening to this message right now, I wish to offer my most sincerest apologies for not being able to attend this show, the second such show in a row. Last week I attempted to look death square in the face and laughed as I hosted my 136th episode of Guardian One podcast, where I get to do one of my most favorite things in the whole world, talking about Destiny. Unfortunately, it was not I who had the last laugh. Indeed, there's been little to laugh about in my household over the last week, as I've been struggling to loosen the grip of pneumonia that it's had on me since last Thursday. At this point, I feel fairly close to being back to normal, but close only counts on rocket launchers, and that's when they have the perk grenades and horseshoes enabled. For what it's worth, I tried to at least be there to help support my fellow Guardians, but several coughing fits in a row led me to know, in no uncertain terms, that I needed to submit to the will that is not my own. I needed to take a step back, let the healing happen as best it can, without my wants and needs constantly interfering. Only then I will find peace. Only then will I have the strength to continue talking about Destiny. If I let myself give in to the healing that must happen, it is likely I will be back next week. We still have so much to talk about, and I can't wait to rejoin the conversation already in progress. I want to take a moment to thank Jez, Agrios, Sharks, and Gray for making sure that this circus continues to delight the masses, even though the jester has fallen ill. They have more than proven themselves as purveyors of excellent Destiny conversation, and I thank you all for taking time out of your day to hear what they have to say. I love the Destiny community, and I love doing this podcast. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure everybody here on the podcast will say that we miss you, Remy. We can't wait to have you back on the show. Rest up, get better. That's most important. Take care of yourself, and then you will better serve the Guardians within our community. Alrighty, folks. Well, that wraps up episode 136. We'd like to thank everyone for listening and tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have questions for topics to be discussed on the show, or if you have comments on something that's already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@GuardianOneNet, and we'll see you again next week.